Hi everyone. Final video for the ground strokes before we do the summary video. The final one is a slice backhand. Okay. The slice backhand is a shot that's, for me, is a fantastic shot. It's a get out of jail shot. If you can't get there and hit your drive backhand, it allows you to change the pace of the rally. It changes the way that your opponent receives the ball, and can be a real game changer. If you go back a couple of decades to your Steffi Grafs and currently, you know, your Roger Federers, and how well they use the slice backhand in their everyday game. So same as the other videos, we'll talk about the technique from the grip, the technique needed for it, and the footwork. Okay, so the main thing, obviously with me being right-handed, is it's the shake hands grip. It's the continental grip, so your hand is pretty much straight on. Okay, same as the drive backhand, in that your non-dominant hand is holding the neck part of the racket. Okay, now from here, slightly different take backs if I'm going to slice the ball, in that this area, my wrist, for the drive, I get this hand to twist, and then as I pull that racket back, as you can see, the knuckles of the hand are facing towards the ground. Okay, so my hand is going this way for that drive. For the slice, I am going to pull the racket back slightly the other way, so the knuckles are a little bit more towards the sky. Okay, so with that grip, I would get the same principles apply. I'm receiving the ball onto my backhand. I'm going to try and get that preparation in the unit turn done whilst the ball's still in the air. Okay, but as I twist here, the racket face, knuckles, is going back at a more open angle. Okay, and I'm winding it all up into that position, so that right shoulder, because I'm right-handed, is facing down the court. Okay, that's the wind up done. Boom. Okay, then obviously the feet move, same rules apply. If I'm going to try and address the ball and I'm going to slice that ball across the court, I'm going to try and have my final plant slightly more open. If I'm going to address the ball, I'm going to try and slice it a little bit more down the line. I'm going to try and address it more turned. Okay, so at this point, I've got my knuckles slightly more open. I'm going to address the ball, and then from here, I am going to just try and release the racket, keeping that angle. So I'm not letting my wrist close up too much, because then I'm going to try and drive it. I'm keeping that racket slightly more open, and I'm just going to release that racket, point of contact, straight through, and then stop. Okay, now you will see the professionals doing some magic with their racket, where they're coming across the ball and they're doing drop shots underneath the ball. We're not going to really get into all those little intricate trick type of shots where you're actually slicing and putting side spin on the ball. This is your traditional slice backhand. Okay, from this position, continental grip, the racket face is being taken back slightly more open on that unit turn. The footwork is working into position, and then I am just punching that racket straight through the ball. Okay. Now the main thing, other thing to think about then, is what height are you actually striking the ball. Now if you are swinging and the contact is around your waist height, you look at it at an angle pretty much like that. Not here, you're just going to scoop it up in the air if you hit it here, and you don't want too much forward because you've got that continental grip. If you close it too much, look at my wrist. Now obviously if a ball hits that, well, how that's going to do to my wrist, you know, it's not going to be long before I'm going to have injury problems. I need that wrist to stay as straight as possible, so you can see that angle there. Okay, now if I'm dealing with that ball but I'm on the stretch and it's a lot lower, look what I've done to the angle of the wrist, which obviously changes the angle of the racket face. Yeah, again, not this, that's just scooping it up in the air, but you have to play around on the tennis court. Can't do that at the moment, but you know, in the garden you can just practice swinging at this height, that angle, swinging at this height, slightly more open angle, swinging at this height, right down beside your grass, this height. Okay, look how I'm altering the angle depending on the height that I'm going to have. None of them are ever completely closed. Slightly open, open. Does that make sense? And again, if you're going to try and slice and the ball's much more up here, and I know this is a big area that people struggle with, that use one hand, but the ball's kind of head height, shoulder height, you need to try and take that racket back, racket head, up in line with the ball. Get everything up here, yeah? And then from here, you're just trying to release the racket slightly round the ball into this position and then stop. Don't try and carry on going up, and a biggie, don't go down on the ball, okay? Pull the racket head up, get the feet into position, you've already wound it up, push the racket round the ball, okay? Up, footwork, push the racket round the ball, okay? It's a really hard shot to do, one-handed slice backhand or a one-handed topspin backhand with the ball up here. So the more you can move your feet, prep to let that ball drop so you can get the ball more in this area, the better. But sometimes, yes, I appreciate we don't have time and you just got to try and deal with hitting that ball back over the net when it's up here. Get the racket up, punch the racket round the ball, okay? So a recap for the slice backhand. It's a continental grip, it's straight on top, okay? Your left hand, because I'm right-handed, obviously your right hand if you're left-handed, is holding the neck of the racket. You pull the racket slightly back, different to the topspin, by turning the knuckles slightly more up, okay? For the topspin, the knuckles are more down. Slightly more up for the slice. Into this position. Working the feet where they need to be worked too. Releasing that racket at the ball, and again in your garden, practice angles, more open the lower you go, more closed the higher you go. The high ones, get the racket up in line with the ball, push the racket round the outside of the ball, push the racket round the outside of the ball, back to the ready position. Okay. Hope that helps with regards to the slice. It's really the angles that you've got to practice, and when I see people having a go at it on the courts, and the biggie is that it kind of, the racket face comes underneath the ball too much and I see the ball goes too high. Because you're taking the racket back in a different position, as you swing forward, you don't need to try and create any, you know, a lot more angle. You see that this is open, and I see people swinging and they end up with the rackets coming right under here, unless you're on purposely trying to do a drop shot. But we're not going to get into them in these videos. It's just the normal slice. You don't need the racket to open up so much, okay? So from this position, I'm just punching that racket straight through. Okay? Don't come underneath. Don't try and do even more with your wrist. Because you've opened it up on the take back, you've got enough of that racket face open as you swing through. The only time it opens up more, like I've just explained, is if that contact point is much more down here. Get your legs down, open that racket face up, okay? So I hope that helps, or gives you a little bit of food for thought with regards to the slice backhand. If you're too weak to do a slice backhand with one hand, of course you can do it with two hands, and again the same principles apply. You need that continental grip, you need your opposite hand straight on and the other continental grip, but instead of taking the racket back with the wrists straight, or if you're more topspin with the knuckles down, you take it back with the wrists slightly opening up as you go to deal with it. And then from here you just let that left hand, if you're right-handed, swing through, obviously the other way around if you are left-handed. You let your right hand swing through, but you still got the angle slightly open. Okay. I think I mentioned just before the path that racket takes. The topspin, they're elevations. Okay, the slices straighter through the ball. Yeah, you don't want to have that racket face open and start swinging up here. You're just going to hit it long. Boom, punch it through. Okay, ready, position. Taking it back slightly more open. Footwork to where you're going to try and aim the ball. Release through. Stop there. Not release through. Release through. Back to ready. Okay. Any questions on the slice backhand? Fire them through to me. Happy to answer if I know the correct answer. Take care.